Hello everyone. Today we're going to be doing this pretty little 3¼ inch by 2 inch oval stone. I've made this with the Rapid Set cement doll. I have a video below in the comments section making art stones with Rapid Set cement doll if you want to see how to do that. Okay, so we're going to use the Waverly chalk paint in moss. And I'm drawing a quick visual line for myself. I'm placing my chalk pencil, you can also use a watercolor pencil, on a tile, and it's lifting my pencil just enough that I can mark the edge of the stone. And I wanted a second line a little bit higher, so I just placed it on something a little higher. It ended up being about 1/4 inch. Okay, so starting on the upper guideline, I used a small tool. It ended up being around a 2mm, and with any acrylic white paint, I put a dot all the way around. Now my spacing at the end was off a little bit, so I removed the first dot with an X-Acto knife and a damp Q-tip. And because chalk paint dries rather quickly, I was able to just place another dot right in there, and it was fine. Now directly below and in between the first row, I placed another row of small dots. And if you don't have a small tool like that, you can use a toothpick or wooden skewer or something small. Now with the same tool as the second row, and I'm using Peridot, which is a Art Metallic paint. And if you have festive green, it's really close. So of course you can use whatever you like, but I'm using Peridot. And with the same tool, directly above that white dot and in between the larger white ones, I've placed one of those Peridot dots all the way around. Now for this really small dot that I'm placing, I'm using the tip of that wooden skewer. And I get those at the Dollar Tree. They're what you would use you would soak them and put like shish kebab on them and use them on the grill. They're great. You can wipe them and use them again. Don't throw them away. And sometimes they get a little bit swollen from the moisture in the paint. So take another one. You don't want to have, chubby little dots when you started out with skinny ones. Now with the Peridot and a larger tool, but maybe the same tool that you used for the first row, I am going directly under the first row of the white. I'm going all the way around. So metallics are often sticky and they'll pull. So when you're using metallics, go slow and pull straight away. Don't pull over to the side because strings will, land on your other paint and you won't be very happy. All right. So to find the center, I went from dot to dot, from top to bottom and side to side, and I found a point that I was pretty happy with, and I marked that. Now I used the back of a 4mm crochet hook, and I placed my center white dot. Then with a smaller tool, I placed 8 small dots around. Now with the same tool, I just added a little bit more paint, made it a little bit bigger. I placed 8 more dots directly between and all around. Next, with a larger tool, I added 4 large dots in between every other dot from the row below. Then with the Peridot, I did 4 more dots in the remaining 4 spots. Now using the Peridot, I did a little swish. And I started at the center of the white dot and the larger white dot and brought it down to the little white dot below. And I did that with the Peridot and then a white, a little bit bigger swish of a white, and then another Peridot and then a big white. I brought them all down to the same point. I want to try to keep them together. So here you can see that not all swishes are perfect. I mean, that one was pretty pathetic, and so is this one. And you can always go back and see, I'm just going back, I'm using a little more paint, and I'm straightening out that curve. You don't straighten out a curve, but you clean up with a little more paint. I just floated it along the edge and gave it a nicer finish. That's really pretty just like that. I mean, really, we could just kind of leave it like that. But no, let's keep going. All right, so with a thin tool, now I'm using the Peridot, and I'm just dropping in 4 small, very thin swishes that are going to go, try to connect them to like not connect them, but put them near, aim towards the bottom of the other swishes. So in other words, they're going to the right side of the green dot. And now I'm doing 4 white ones, and I'm making those, they're not really connecting anywhere. They are just kind of hanging out on the side there. But I think they look kind of nice. You don't have to connect. It's a simple design. This is really good for beginners, and you know, swishes might be a little scary at first, but this is really great for practice. So, you know, boo-boos can be fixed. I made a lot of boo-boos. Actually, I make a big boo-boo on this one. I don't show you the boo-boo, but I'll tell you about it. This would be a good time if you would subscribe, hit that bell, give me a thumbs up, share the video if you could, and let me know what you think. Put your comments, and if you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. I really appreciate it. All right, so with the Peridot, on the original 4 large white dots, I am placing an off-center top dot. Okay, so you can see where I did that. And as if by magic, 4 white dots are going to appear on the green. There you go. Now with the Peridot again, and the little white dots on each side of those original 4, so we're going to have 8 untotaled. I'm doing again off-center top dots, but I'm facing them in towards the white dot directly below, if you can see what I mean. To me, they kind of look like petals of a flower. To fill in some space, because a stone like this is a little bit difficult to do things on. There's not a whole lot of space. So I was kind of lost. What am I going to do? And I just started walking a couple of sets of dots from the 2 side elements. And I did them kind of in a squiggly pattern. And this is where my boo-boos, if you look right above where I'm dotting now, you can see that there's a little kind of messy area. I actually tried to make this walk of dots mimic the one below it in reverse, and I had a really, really hard time doing it. It did not come out well, and I had to take it out, and I had to wipe it, and then I tried again, and I did that like 3, 4, 5, I don't even know how many times. But eventually I had to paint over that section. And yeah, so don't worry about it, you know. Boo-boos can be fixed. Okay, so now I just went ahead and I just threw in a bunch more of these random walk dots and some swishes here and there. And, you know, you can put them if you want. You don't have to. Get a little creative. And back down to the bottom with a small tool, I went around with the white again and put a little tiny dot in between all of the Peridot. Okay, so by now you all know that I jump around a little bit. So now I'm just going to be continuing filling in a little bit more space, adding a few more of those swishes and just a little squiggly walking of the dots. I want to keep it kind of even on both sides. It doesn't need to be identical, but just kind of even. I'll just throw a few more here and there wherever you'd like. Then I'm going to make some little stars. Now the stars are really simple. I just put a dot in the center and then I walk 3, 4, or 5 of them out north and south, and then using that same center dot I do a few less going east and west, and then a couple of more, as you can see what I'm doing there. And you can make them different sizes. They don't all have to be the same. Just get a little creative with it. And I'm going to come back in a little while and I'm going to add some hologram on them so that they sparkle. So far this is pretty easy and fun, and you can get very creative. What do you think? With the hologram, all of the decorations that I did, embellishments that I did on the top in white, I am putting hologram on. So all of my swishes, all of my dots that I've walked, and On the stars I'm not putting them on all of the stars, I'm just putting them where I want them to be a little bit more sparkly. Okay, so I've had a little bit of an issue with trying to match up my audio and my video and focus, obviously. You can see that. Let me just explain what I've done. Looking at the stone from the top down, the very top row of those little tiny white dots, those have hologram on them. The 2 rows of the peridot also have hologram, okay? Now, the last 3 rows, the large white dot and then the other 2 little white dots, those are all top dotted with metallic pearl, white metallic pearl. I want to give it a nice clear coat of a sealer. I use the matte clear from Rustoleum. You could use whatever you use, but do it before you put your crystals, your stones on, if you're going to use them. Otherwise, they will cloud up. And I'm using JudiKins Diamond Glaze as my adhesive to attach my glass crystals. I know that glass and crystals are not the same, but I'm going to call them crystals. And I will have the link from where I bought these on Amazon. I'll have that in my section below, okay? So I had a little bit of trouble with the JudiKins. Oh, I love JudiKins. It works really, really well. But with little tiny stones like this, I had a heck of a time. They were sticking to my fingers. They were sticking to the tweezers. So eventually what I ended up doing was I just put some of the JudiKins on the end of my skewer, held the little stone with my tweezers, and tapped the glue, and then dropped them on. That worked a lot better for me. When I did the first few, the glue was a little thick and it spilled over, and I didn't like that look mostly because my stone itself has a matte base. I didn't want shiny glue sticking out underneath the stone, so I just used an X-Acto knife, and then with a damp Q-tip I just kind of cleaned it up, and it's fine. It came off nicely. And so once again with the hologram, I just went around the top in between where pieces, swishes are meeting, and just on the top of the base of the stone itself, I just sprinkled some hologram. Just gave it like a little bit of a little shine and made it a little extra sparkle. With the hologram, again, I just put a plain row around the very, very bottom. There was no paint underneath it, just the base paint, and I just put a row of straight hologram along the base. So that's it. It's a pretty stone. It's really quick and easy to make. It could be done in many, many colors. And as you can see, I only used white, hologram, and green. So if you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.